What can we do about the obesity epidemic? We seem to have a big problem in the Western world, if not elsewhere. Quite a lot of us are overweight. 100 years ago, people led more active lives and often had the opposite problem of not being able to eat enough. But now, even our children spend most of their time in front of their computers, and they're becoming overweight as well. Whose fault is it? Is it our own fault because of the kind of lives we lead? Or is it the food processing industry putting too much sugar into our food, or what? Most of us travel around by car, whereas people in previous generations would sometimes walk miles to visit someone in hospital, for example. People spend a lot of money on things like diets and succeed in losing weight, but then later they often put it all back on again. I would like to suggest 4 simple and obvious things that anyone could do which should make it easier to lose weight. Before I do, I'd like to point out that I haven't personally got a problem with being overweight at the moment, but I did go through a phase earlier in my life for a number of years when I found it very difficult to be disciplined in my eating, and did put on quite a bit of weight, about 2 stone or more, which is about 13 kilograms, which is admittedly not nearly as much of a problem as many people have. The first of these simple and obvious ideas is to try and get some exercise. We have an exercise bike in the back garden. Now I realise that these things are quite expensive if you buy them new. Fortunately we got one cheaply for only £20, a very good investment at that price. I also go jogging maybe once a week for about 1.5 hours or more. If I'm on holiday I might go jogging more often, but not for as long as that. Now obviously not everyone can do that. For one thing, if you're not used to strenuous exercise, there is a danger that you might have a heart attack if you're over the age of 25 and you start jogging or anything else fairly strenuous. And so it is best to build these things up gradually. If you're not used to jogging, doing it for half an hour is quite difficult enough, I'm sure. But if you find jogging too boring, there are plenty of other ways of getting exercise. Walking, cycling, going to the gym, playing various different kinds of sports, etc. The second idea is whenever you eat, try to eat things which have a high liquid content. This should help to fill you up and lessen the hunger pangs. It may not do you much good to drink a lot of water because it will probably go straight through you, although drinking a lot of water before a meal might help you to eat less because you will feel more full. Most things are good in moderation, but may be bad for you if you overdo it, so it is best not to drink too much water at once. Eating things like fruit and vegetables is good because they have a high liquid content and low calorie content. Potatoes are better for you than crisps because they have a higher liquid content. Cakes, biscuits and bread are not very good because they have a low liquid content. Things like soup and milk are good because they have a high liquid content, but they have enough solids in them to stay for a longer time in the digestive system, and so they fill you up more for longer. I heard someone say that she had lost 4 stone in weight, or about 25 kilograms, simply by drinking milkshakes and eating nothing else. Actually, milkshakes may be high in sugar, but I think she used a special formulation which was not high in sugar and had added fibre, otherwise doing that might give you a problem of constipation. The main problem with this was that she found it tremendously boring, but it did work. Perhaps it would be better to make it more interesting by eating an apple now and then, or carrots, cabbage or lettuce or something else like that. Which brings us to the third idea, the importance of eating food with a high fibre content. If you are trying to eat less, you may need a higher fibre content anyway to avoid the danger of constipation. If you eat cereal, it is best to eat one with a high fibre content. However, this is probably not ideal since it has a low liquid content, although this problem is lessened by the fact that milk gets added to it. Actually, I don't claim to be an expert on which foods are high in fibre, but I'm sure this is fairly easy to find out. I think mushrooms and prunes are 2 examples of foods which are high in fibre. The great thing about fibre is that it is low in calories, but it is bulky and means that the food you eat stays in the digestive system for longer, and so you feel full for longer. The fourth idea is that if you lead a busy life, it may help to take your mind off eating. Those of us who have jobs which involve physical activity should in theory find it easier not to put on weight, although I don't think this applies in all cases. Those who work long hours or who have jobs in which they expend a lot of nervous energy probably find they put on weight less easily. However, this may not always work by itself if it results in you becoming less disciplined in your eating. In any case, I'm not suggesting that you should work long hours just to lose weight, and you may not necessarily have the opportunity to do so anyway. If you don't work long hours, there may be other things you can do to take your mind off food, such as having more social life, being involved in activities outside the home, or having an interesting hobby of some kind. Well, that's all I have to say on this subject for now. If you have any comments on how useful or otherwise you think this is, or whether this has helped you at all, I'll be quite happy to hear from you, and thanks very much for watching.